Here back with another reaction video. I know it's been a while, I do apologise, but I've been, you know, sorting out some life issues and, well, I won't bore you with the details, and, because I'm hoping to get right into this reaction, and this time I'm reacting to Napoleon's Revenge, Wagram, 1809, I hope it's pronounced Wagram. Now, in the last episode of this, series of, epic history TVs about the Napoleonic Wars, I believe Napoleon was defeated by the Austrians in Aspern and Essling, and obviously they'll give us a recap at the beginning of the videos, and little disclaimer as always with these historical like videos, if I don't say much or add any input, it's because what I'm trying to take on board. Well, I hope it stays in my head. But because the title says Napoleon's Revenge, this will be interesting to see how Napoleon gains back the victory after facing his first major defeat at the hands of the new Austrian army. Anyway, I'm wasting too much of your time. Let's get into this. And
an Epic History TV History March collaboration.
Please go subscribe to both channels.
In May 1809,
I forgot to say at the beginning, the link to the original video in the description down below. Sorry, I should have said at the beginning. Oops.
His enemies took heart.
Hang on, let me go back because whoops.
It seemed the tide was turning at last.
Sorry,
Austrians had defeated Napoleon's army in the bloody Battle of Aspern. His enemies took heart. After years of French military dominance, it seemed the tide was
humiliation
turning at last. 3 weeks later, Pope Pius VII excommunicated Napoleon for annexing papal land. Another propaganda coup for his enemies.
Oh yeah.
But in the wake of its victory, Austria hesitated, not sure whether to seek peace or continue the war. While Napoleon responded with a hurricane of activity. He summoned reinforcements to join him.
I don't think I have to tell everybody who might have already seen this that hesitating after you've defeated Napoleon, a bad idea, but I'm sure I'm being Captain Obvious here.
Near Vienna, the army of Italy, under his stepson Eugène de Beauharnais, and 11th Corps under Marshal Marmont,
wow,
who've together driven Archduke John's Austrian army out of North Italy.
Wow.
As well as Marshal Bernadotte's Saxon 9th Corps. Napoleon's army grew from 90,000 to a massive 164,000 men and 544 guns to take on Charles's army.
So I take it this is to guard communications.
414 guns. 6 weeks after his first attempt had ended in defeat, Napoleon ordered his army to cross the river once more. This time his engineers had built solid bridges across the pontoons to ensure there was no repeat of the disasters of Aspern.
Oh, of course, that's another thing that happened in the last time Napoleon tried to cross the Danube, where the flimsy pontoon bridges were smashed by the Austrians floating heavy barges down there to smash the flimsy pontoon bridges. So this is where Napoleon will regain himself after that loss at Aspern.
For the French army, Napoleon declared, the Danube no longer exists.
Wow.
The stage was set for the largest battle yet seen in European history. If you think our Napoleon series has made you a master of tactics and strategy, put your skills to the test in Vikings War of Clans, generous sponsors of this video. Napoleon's rules of concentration of force and decisive action.
Anyway, I just want to quickly say that sorry, I just want to quickly say that that's a big claim to say the Danube no longer exists, because anyone who's a expert or leading knowledge in geography will tell you that the Danube is a very wide river. That's just without the islands. without the islands, the Danube is quite wide, so to make the bridges solid over such a big river, it's so this will be interesting how this plays out and how Napoleon will get his revenge on the Austrians. Okay. It's a good job you're not any taller. Napoleon to a staff officer whose helmet was knocked off by a cannonball. Yeah. No shit.
On the evening of the 4th of July, in heavy rain,
Gross
the French began
Enzersdorf.
crossing from the island of Lobau, not towards the devastated villages of Aspern and Essling,
Sorry, I got dirt in my eyes.
towards Gross Enzersdorf, which was soon ablaze from French shells. Archduke Charles had left only a small advance guard to delay the French. By dawn, General Massena's 4th Corps and Oudinot's 2nd Corps were driving those troops back, winning
towards
space
Essling
for the French army to deploy.
So 2 units have gone to Essling.
At 1
Whoa.
p.m., Napoleon was ready to begin his advance across 6 miles of flat cornfields towards the main Austrian position, an escarpment known as the Wagram, 100 meters behind the Russbach stream.
Wow.
As General
It's
Lasalle's
quite a good defensive
light cavalry
line.
and Massena's 4th
Oh,
Corps swung left to guard the
I've only
flank,
just noticed though
Oudinot's 2nd
these units
Corps,
up in the top
Davout's
corner there.
3rd Corps advanced towards the Wagram. Bernadotte's Saxon Corps and Eugene's Army of Italy filled the centre. At 6 p.m., unsure of the enemy's strength, Napoleon ordered a full-scale assault against the Wagram plateau.
Bold.
But his troops met determined Austrian resistance along the line. By dusk, the Saxon...
I hope people remember that this is not the same Austrian army that was first defeated. This is a new reformed Austrian army where they've adopted Napoleon's corps system, which is that the narrator of these videos has said that in a previous video that the corps system was a big improvement. It's literally copied by every military force in the world today. Well, almost every force, but it just showed that because of the corps system, how effective it really is, but especially deadly under Napoleon's guidance. But Archduke Charles, it just shows how much the Austrians have learned from the French, in a way. So, I suppose in some ways, defeat is one hell of a teacher.
9th Corps had pushed
I don't know
into
why I
the
said it
village
like
of
that.
Wagram.
Oops.
The Saxon infantry wore white uniforms,
Oh
like
dear.
the Austrians.
Yeah,
And as darkness
Austrians wore
fell,
white.
were mistaken for the enemy, and fired on by friendly units.
Oh dear.
The Saxons panicked and fled with heavy losses. Napoleon's attempt at a quick breakthrough had failed.
Wow.
That night, both armies slept in the open, while
Ooh,
Charles and Napoleon planned their next moves.
The Battle of Wagram, Day 2. Hang on, ad coming up.
On the 2nd day,
Hang on, bear with me, there's an ad here. Oh, I thought it was
on
crashing.
the 2nd day, Napoleon planned for Davout's 3rd Corps to lead the attack, rolling up the Austrian flank, while his other corps pinned down the enemy with local attacks. But to the Emperor's fury, he learned that overnight, without orders, Marshal Bernadotte had withdrawn his battered Saxons from Adecla, which the Austrians now occupied.
Wow.
Adecla was a crucial strong point in the centre of the battlefield.
Probably being Captain Obvious here, but you do notice in this series Marshal Bernadotte getting into a lot of trouble, especially not acknowledging Napoleon's orders to the letter. But as I said, I'm probably being Captain Obvious, so...
Napoleon gave orders for its immediate recapture, but the French and Saxon attack failed, with heavy losses. the Austrians had their own problems. Archduke Charles, knowing he faced a superior enemy, had decided his only chance of victory lay in an all-out dawn attack.
Wow.
He was relying on his brother, Archduke John, reaching him with 13,000 reinforcements in time to support the attack on the left. But by dawn, there was still no sign of him. What's more, as 4th Corps began its assault on Grosshofen, on time, 3rd Corps, which had received its orders late, was still getting into position.
Oh dear.
Holding up the entire Austrian right wing. Charles had to tell 4th Corps to abort its unsupported attack until the other corps were ready. With the Austrians paralysed by delays,
wow.
at 10 a.m, Davout began his attack. A fierce infantry battle erupted in the village of Markgraf Neusiedl, while in
God,
the
I couldn't
fields,
pronounce that.
dragoons and hussars fought a giant whirling cavalry battle as each side tried to outflank the other. Davout's corps took the village.
Wow.
They couldn't stop the Austrians withdrawing to a strong new position on the Wagram escarpment. Meanwhile, a serious threat had developed to Napoleon's left flank and rear.
Wow.
Klenau's 6th Corps had driven back the outnumbered French, with some units advancing as far as Essling, dangerously close to Napoleon's vital river crossings. Napoleon urgently needed to reinforce his left flank, but he was also determined to hold back his reserves for a decisive attack. So he ordered Massena's 4th Corps to march across the battlefield and reinforce the left. A huge redeployment like this, right in front of the enemy, was high risk.
Yeah.
So Marshal Bessières was ordered to lead a cavalry attack straight against the enemy centre.
Wow.
Casualties were high. Even Marshal Bessières had his horse killed under him, to the alarm of his men. But the enemy was kept busy, while 4th Corps completed its redeployment and forced Klenau's corps to fall back.
Any trooper who isn't dead at 30, I don't expect to say that length of time. Sorry, any trooper who isn't dead by 30 is a coward, and I don't anticipate exceeding that length of time. General Antoine Lassalle killed at Wagram, age 33. Talk about a man of his own word.
Napoleon now assembled a grand battery of more than 80 cannon
in one
the centre
section.
Of the battlefield. This was one of Napoleon's trademark tactics.
You can easily see Napoleon loved his artillery since being an artillery officer himself when he first started off at the siege of Toulon, I think.
A concentration of artillery to blast the enemy line and pave the way for a decisive French attack.
Soften them up.
The Grand Battery fired an estimated 15,000 rounds,
wow,
setting light to the cornfields. Around 1 p.m, Napoleon ordered a general attack. As Davout continued to batter at the enemy flank, 4th Corps would advance on the left, 2nd Corps on the right, while in the centre...
I wonder if they do say anything like where was Archduke John to help support Charles, but I'm not sure if they'll mention it, but it is a good question to ask, I think.
General MacDonald would lead forward 8,000 men of the Army of Italy, formed up in a giant three-sided square to secure his flanks.
Wow.
But despite the terrible French cannonade, Austrian 3rd Corps and Grenadiers of the Reserve met the French advance with torrential fire. MacDonald's giant square was cut to pieces, its men mowed down en masse by cannon fire, and the attack stalled. But the Austrian army, battered by relentless French attacks, was near breaking point. Every part of the line was under pressure from the French. Archduke Charles, determined above all to keep his army intact, ordered a retreat.
Wow.
The Austrian withdrawal was disciplined and well executed. Napoleon had his victory. But his army was also so shattered by fatigue, and heavy losses, it was unable to launch any effective pursuit.
It's obvious that you were not at Wagram. Napoleon to a minister who mocked the Austrians.
The Battle of Wagram was a brutal slugging match.
Yep.
The biggest and bloodiest battle yet seen in European history.
Wow.
French victory
estimates
came at unprecedented cost. An estimated 37,500 casualties against 41,500 Austrian. 4 days later, French troops caught up with the retreating Austrians at Znaim. As the fighting escalated, Charles knew he could not withstand the French a second time and asked for a ceasefire.
Wow.
But he had not consulted his older brother, Emperor Francis, who was furious when he heard the news. Not least because long-awaited British support was found on the way.
The Royal Navy was supposed to
3
help
weeks
out.
after the Battle of Znaim, the largest amphibious force Britain had ever assembled, 35 ships of the line and 39,000 troops, landed at Walcheren Island on the Scheldt estuary.
Wow.
Its aim was to destroy French shipping and naval stores.
Wow.
But following the successful bombardment and capture of Vlissingen,
Wow.
British commanders let the initiative slip from their grasp.
Oh dear.
Their force was bottled up by French troops on the marshy Dutch coast, where it was decimated by fever and dysentery. About 4,000 died. Many more became permanent invalids.
Well, that's grim.
The survivors were evacuated back to England in December. Emperor Francis, informed of the British debacle and persuaded by his generals that Austria couldn't fight on, made peace with Napoleon. In October, Austria signed the Treaty of Schönbrunn, giving up territory to the French Empire, Bavaria, Saxony, the Duchy of Warsaw, and Russia. In total, the Austrian Empire was stripped of 3.5 million subjects, forced to pay an indemnity, limit its army to 150,000 men, and join Napoleon's continental system,
which doesn't work.
Which meant ending all trade with British ships and merchants.
Another ad coming up.
Archduke Charles.
Sorry, just get rid of this ad.
Play War Thunder now. Join millions of players across the globe in massive battles on tanks.
Right.
Archduke Charles, meanwhile, one of Napoleon's more skilled opponents, had fallen out so bitterly with his brother, Emperor Francis, that he never held active command again.
Jeez, that's harsh.
Napoleon had won another crushing victory, but there were worrying signs for the French Emperor. His enemies were learning, while he would increasingly have to rely on young conscripts to fill the gaps left by veterans killed or wounded on campaign.
That's the downside of it.
In 1809, but Napoleon had just fought his last victorious campaign. You can now support him.
And that'll do it. Well, this is again interesting. So now we see how Napoleon got his revenge after the defeat of Aspern and Essling. But as I said, it's definitely a well-earned victory, because it wasn't easy, since the Austrians have learned from their defeat at Napoleon's hands. So, and I just seen in the top corner pop up about Napoleon's Vietnam, about the Peninsula War. So that'll be the next in this series I'll be reacting to. So anyway, if you enjoyed this reaction, please like, comment and subscribe.